right, y'all. AM/FM, Radio Free Go-Go.
Good morning, DC. It's another BEAU. Actually, I have no idea what kind of day it is in the capital city, because if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see that I'm not in DC. But just because I'm not there doesn't mean that the show cannot still go on, because the Capitol Hoop Caucus is a train that cannot be stopped. And holding it down in the studios right now, as always, are my two co-hosts. First is the man whose favorite Gatorade flavor is orange. It's Isaac Harris, and the man across from him this week has a preference for the classic cool blue. It's Troy Halliburton. Gentlemen, am I right about your Gatorade choices?
Yeah, I'm actually on the green apple right now, man. Like, this is very coincidental.
Oh, you have one with you right
I have
now.
Yeah, this is, look, yeah. For the YouTube, yeah, no, actually no product placement. I got to put tape over it now. You know how the NBA players do it. Like, I only represent Body Armor. Shout out.
Oh, okay, all right. See, I like the mango peach Body Armor. That's typically my lane. But Isaac, is I right about your Gatorade?
I'm a cool blue guy.
Damn.
I'm a cool blue. I'm a cool blue. Every now and then, what is it? The cherry. Yeah, cherry.
Oh, yeah, the cool Glacier Cherry.
Yeah, Glacier Cherry and Cool Blue.
Classic. I mean, obviously, I'm going to get one of these predictions right one week, but obviously we can't spend the entire show talking about Gatorade, because that is not the point of the Capitol Hoop Caucus. Troy, what is the focus of the show?
Oh, the focus of the show is to cover basketball from prep to pro, all levels of the game, men and women, and to just cover, if they're throwing that round ball up, we're out here covering the basketball in the DMV so that the people can know what it's like to have their boots on the ground with the basketball coverage.
That is absolutely right, and you can catch us every Saturday morning on ESPN 630 at 10 a.m. Eastern, or you can also catch us on the podcast feed, wherever it is that you get your podcasts, or even now on YouTube, as I just said before, so you can come just see each of us waving to you right now. And, well, when you're there, give us a subscribe and a comment and a like, and, well, just spread the word along to all of your friends, because we're trying to grow this show as best we can to reach as many hoop heads as ourselves and as yourselves as well. But let's get on to today's show, because the Wizards season opener was this past week. So we got our first real look at this year's squad. So the bulk of the show will be spent breaking down what our takeaways were from that very first game. And then we'll then have a scouting report on some of the roster. From there, we'll then launch the full court press to recap the opening week of other teams around the association. And of course, as always, we'll close things out with trivia time from the line. But first, let's get the show rolling with the Beltway Beat. All right, folks, as I said, the Wizards had their season opener. And, well, it was a 120-133 loss to the Bucks in Milwaukee this past Wednesday night. And, well, we're going to take a deep dive on the team's play, but not before first introducing this week's very special guest, co-host of the Bleav in the Wizards podcast with Jahadi White, and host of also the Fear the podcast. And he also runs the Department of Hoops and has had his words published in Bullets Forever and Mid-Major Madness. Oh my goodness, this man is all over the place. He's one of the hardest working folks in the basketball media scene in DC. It is Matt Modderno. Matt, thank you for joining the caucus today.
Yeah, pleased to be here. I'm sponsored by water, so not nearly as exciting, but that's okay. I'll try to bring the flavor no matter what.
All right, well, we appreciate that.
Hey, look, I love that, Matt. Look, Matt is like, he's a actual guy who goes out there and still hoops. Like, I love when he puts the videos up. He shows he's out there on the court. So as an athlete, you got to stay hydrated, man.
That's right. It's a game tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, yeah. Also, shout out to Matt. Yeah, we go back. Like, shout out to the Bloggers Road days. Covering the team.
Oh yeah,
during the prime John Wall era.
Are essentially dead on Wizards Press Row there.
Yeah, we used to have a good old time. Like, me, Matt, Neil DeLaw. Shout out to my guy, Mike Sykes. A shout out to Becca, Brainerd. Like, yeah, we used to have like a team of people like there. Like, yeah, at every Wizards game. Just trying to get those scoops for a team that was actually competing in the Eastern Conference, and hopefully we'll be talking about a team competing coming up very soon.
Yeah, definitely. I don't mean to age you both, but you just listed off, Troy, all the people I was reading in high school. So shout out to every one of them, because to me, those are the OGs. So shout out to them all.
I'll do it. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll see you later.
There you. Hey, Matt, did you realize that you would become Unk status on this podcast here?
It's time to leave when you reach junk status. You're just on the way
I didn't
out.
mean to do that. Oh, no. All right. Well, let's try to reel it back in. Let's get to the season opener. As I said, we've got several points of conversation. But, well, I think the biggest one that we have to approach first is the standout from a player that we've been talking about on this show through the entire offseason, and Matt has as well, and pretty much all of Wizards media has been, that being Kyshawn George. He had an incredible standout performance in this first game. Isn't that right, Troy?
Yeah, it's one thing for us to, kind of be in, prediction mode of what we want to see from Kyshawn George. It's another thing for him to actually get on the basketball court and actualize those skills in real time. And so, to me, I thought that he looked like like I said, the perfect 3-and-D player, 3-and-D wing in today's NBA. I thought that his shot selection was very quality. I thought that, he's very much improved on his ball handling skills. And to me, I thought that he just played with an assertiveness of a guy who wants to become a starting wing in today's NBA.
Yeah, I think that ball handling skills is what stood out to me the most. I know we were all really predicting him to be this 3-and-D archetype player, but they had him kind of running the floor at certain points of the game, which was amazing because he actually performed really well at that. He was operating the flow of the offense in a way I was not predicting in any way, shape, or form. Matt, what did you think of this first game from Kyshawn George this year?
I thought the pace was really cool. He just played a really mature basketball game. I thought he was able to just come down the court, take a pull up three on one possession. Another time he kind of probed the lane a little bit and then pulled it back out. Like just looked a little out over his skis at times last year. The handle was a lot more loose, as you pointed out. So there were just times where the ball got away from him a little bit, but felt like he just had more control over the game. And I just thought it was a big step forward. And if the shot goes down, I think the ceiling is pretty high for this guy. Like you shoot 50% from the field and from three for the course of the year. Obviously, he's not going to do that, but if it's just better than where he was last year of 30s for both, I think this is a guy that could be like a most improved player, maybe next year kind of thing.
And Troy, I mean, we've talked at length about the excess depth that this team has at wing. What do you think that his standout performance could mean for his season to come? Has he just earned a more significant chunk of the minutes going forward?
Well, I think that he has very much put a lot of pressure on Bilal Coulibaly for when he comes back from injury. That like last year, Bilal was a starter at that forward position, and so now I don't think that that's really guaranteed that he's penciled into that spot. I think that there will be very much a competition right there for the starting small forward position, and if Kyshawn George continues to play the way that he is, then it will honestly be hard for me to see them kind of removing him from the lineup.
Now, Isaac, what were you seeing in the rotations that were used with George? Like, how did you see that he was positively utilized in this game?
It was positionless basketball, like what I was anticipating with how this roster was going to look. I mean, we talked about this with Mike Prada, and I've even talked about this with everybody. The way Kyshawn George is being used is like, hey, you're not just going to be a point guard. You're not going to be just a three or a wing. They're not pigeonholing him. They're using him as a basketball player, and they use all his strengths. And you could tell that he's worked on his strengths because the big thing, especially with him running the ball up, is his pace. So that I loved that initiation of that plan is making sure he knows how to dictate the pace if he's in that position at the one. And then that patience can kind of lead over to where he's at the wing, to where he's like, all right, I can actually see where to be a playmaker. So I'm not calling him a point forward. I'm not calling him a point guard. He is a playmaker. That's what that P stands for in that position.
All right. Now, Matt, you just heard Isaac talk about how this team is trying to utilize positionless basketball. At least that's what it looked like in that first game. Do you anticipate that being the strategy going forward for these first few months of this regular season?
I think just looking at the roster, like you don't even need to see them on the court. It's pretty evident. I think that that's what they're trying to build, as a team. And some of the older guys, I don't think maybe fit that mold quite as much, but Bub can basically guard 1 through maybe 3, depending on the team. You've got Trey is a 1, 2, maybe 3 in some situations. And then you look at all of the wings that can essentially guard 1 through 4, maybe even 5 in some situations. Like we saw Cam Whitmore guard Giannis for large stretches on Wednesday. Like that didn't really work out all that well, but like that they were willing to try it, I thought was good. So you just got options. Champagny can guard a bunch of people. When Coulibaly's back, he can guard a bunch of people. And then offensively, they want guys that at least profile as people who can eventually pass, dribble, shoot. So I think that's what they see from this group. And I think it's smart to just take as many swings as at that as you can. And if not everybody fits that archetype, then you move on and you find somebody else who does.
Well, let's use that as a transition point to pivot back to George. Obviously, we've talked pretty glowingly so far about his offense. Troy, what did you see from George defensively that stood out to you in this game?
Physicality. Like I thought that he wasn't intimidated by Giannis. Like he was really trying to get up in his grill. And yes, Giannis is much bigger and stronger than he is, so he was pushing him off. But the thing was, like, Kyshawn, he just kept coming back. And so, like, I was really kind of impressed by the level of physicality and the level in which he was willing to not only take but also initiate contact with Giannis. And so yeah, that's something that really impressed me. Like I said, not only did he have a very efficient game on the offensive end, but he looked like a stud on the defensive end as well. Like to me, I was just highly impressed with his debut.
Now let's move on to another player, one that I think everyone kind of was hoping would be penciled in as the point guard for at least the short term here, that being Bub Carrington. Troy, what did you see from Bub in this first game?
Well, I feel like the theme of this episode is going to be talking about positionless basketball. Then yes, yeah, it's definitely accurate because they're playing without a point guard essentially, which is going to be tough for the team. Like, because to me, I think that they very much want to develop those skills from Bub Carrington, and I think that we really have to be patient with this kind of learning curve that he's going to go through with being able to, initiate NBA offenses, being able to, not only identify certain sets, but be able to, kind of pivot on the fly. Like, these are all other things that they're involved with being a lead ball handler and decision maker for an NBA team besides just dribbling the ball up the court. So, and I think that his learning curve for, all those those small intricacies of the point guard position is just something that Wizard fans are just going to have to be very patient with and allow him to, kind of play through those things and for the front office to be able to know that, okay, yes, he can do these things, or maybe by the end of the season, they're like, maybe, that he cannot do these things.
Now, Isaac, as a former player yourself, can you give us any insight as to how it is that the team would go about developing those skills in Bub, trying to develop him as a point guard?
Trial through fire. The more reps he gets, the better off he is. This is why I was like a little bit critical of, every opportunity that players get a chance in the offseason to play, whether in like a pro-am or even representing their country. Like, part of me feels like I wish Bub got that opportunity to play in AmeriCup to really run the point, or to be around European guys or older vets that know how to run the point and try to take that experience and put it into training camp. Since he didn't have that and he only got a limited time in Summer League, it's literally trial by fire right now. Every moment, every practice, literally you're looking at the practice film. You're literally talking to CJ McCollum as much as you can, that since you have a guy like that in the locker room, and going over film with him late at night. And because the resources that the Wizards have and most NBA teams have regarding the film, he's got to look at that, analyze every day. So it's not even just more so him working on his like point guard skills and his vision. He's got to look at how he actually does it in the film room and like really, really analyze it. And heck, maybe even VR, even if that even helps with that too. So that's probably the best way to describe that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think one thing I think we can all take from this is it definitely looks like Bub wants to be that, right? I think he exudes the energy such that he wants to be a leader for this team. It seems like he wants to be the person who runs this offense. Matt, though, I think we do have to ask a very blunt question here. Do you think he even has the capabilities of developing to that type of player?
Like, what is a point guard at this point? Like, are we talking like old school John Stockton? Are we talking Isaiah Thomas? Are we talking Dame Lillard? Like, it's just those are guys that are air quotes point guards. That's three different styles of play, though. So I think, is this a guy that can get you into offense capably? Yes. I think the assist to turnover ratio stuff, like, I always hated that when the Wizards would, like, they'd lose by 25, but they'd be like, look, this backup point guard had 5 assists to 1 turnover. He's amazing. Like, but for Bub, I think it's important to remember where we were 2 years ago with him as a player. This is a guy that was like a high 3-star, low 4-star kind of recruit going to Pittsburgh that nobody was talking about as a one and done. He burst on the scene around this time with a triple-double in his first game, and now all of a sudden he's a pro prospect. And it's the dude that was a late grower, kind of late bloomer. So I think he's actually like ahead of schedule. His last 20 games last year, we saw real development. He averaged about 12 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds over that stretch. And the one bad summer league game, I think, had everybody in full panic mode. But dude played 82 games last year, and we saw like competent basketball play for the vast majority of it. I just wouldn't read too much into these things. And I think he looked, pretty solid in that first game, like nothing crazy, nothing special. I've always been more of the camp that Bub is like an ideal third guard. He can be a little bit of a one, a little bit of a two. He's malleable. You talked about positionless. Like, I think he's the guy that fits in perfectly next to whatever your star guard is, regardless of like what that player looks like. If he's Michael Brown coming out of Louisville and more of a facilitator type, or he's Darren Peterson coming in and like this heliocentric guy that anybody can kind of play around. So whatever you do, I think he'll fit nicely next to that piece without maybe being, needing to be like your main piece. And he doesn't seem to need the ball a lot. I think he's like trying to defend and put in some effort. And he does all the other stuff off the court that you like too. So I think it's a great pick. It's working out. And I would just caution people to just not expect too much too soon. Like growth isn't always linear. If we see another year of the exact same player we saw the last 20 games of last year for the whole year, like that'd be good consistency. It may take another 2 years before he really makes like the next big jump in his game.
Yeah, I think that's the point that has to stick with everyone. I mean, we are, I guess, a little bit guilty of it here, giving our immediate game one reactions, but it literally is game one. There is a long road here for this regular season, and we do have to manage our expectations. But I do really want to just quickly shout out Ish Smith, because if anyone was appreciating those 5 assists, 1 turnover games, it was me. So shout out to Ish Smith. Hope he's doing wherever he is.
Wherever Tyus Jones is right now.
Yeah, exactly. But let's move on to another one of the many young prospects on this team, Alex Sarr. Isaac, what did you see from Sarr in this game?
Still got a lot of work, but you can tell that he's coming back from injury. I mean, I think we can all agree in the basketball community the hamstring injury is not just now a hamstring injury. It's an injury that could lead to other things. So I feel like he was playing a little bit overcompensated, but he showed what he can do. He showed what he can do. Right now, I want to see when he's a little more confident, a little more healthy, and I just got that vibe as a former player. I'm like, he didn't look like he was, really like ready to go just yet. But that was just my takeaway from that.
And Matt, did you share that sentiment?
I thought we saw some business decisions in that game. Like there were times where Giannis was coming full head of steam at him, and he just sort of turned and let him round the corner like he thought he was going to block somebody like Giannis once he kind of got past his hip. And I don't think that's the right way to guard him. Whereas like Kyshawn, who's a smaller player, maybe less physically developed, was willing to put like chest in front of Giannis and kind of get in the way and try to cut him off. And, that's a brave man to do that kind of stuff. So I don't really blame Sarr at this point, but I would have liked to see him take on that challenge a little bit more. Like at the end of the day, like his greatest skill set for you is going to be ground coverage defensively, but you also need him to be solid on ball and a solid man defender. And I don't think I saw that in the first game. And I think he does the weak side stuff really well. It's the ground coverage, weak side shot blocker, those sorts of things. But we just need him to get better individually with his own matchup. And I liked the 11 rebounds. I thought that was good. I think that was the biggest complaint I had last year. I'm not really as worried about the shooting percentages, but didn't take any like really dumb threes. Didn't take any threes, but did more stuff around the rim. I think that's a sign of growth. And, last year they just kind of let him do what he wanted to do, I think, offensively, and structured it so he'd be away from the basket. So this year, I think we're going to see more of him doing center-y things. And I think that's going to be really good for his development.
Yeah, I think so too. One thing I will say, he showed the same thing last season that he did against Giannis, where he really isn't going for those challenges. And there's something to someone appreciated, because what he also does offensively is he excels at not letting things get to him. You know what I mean? I don't know how to best explain that, but when he messes something up, he still tries to do it again. And I don't know if it's like a stubbornness or just like a genuine, like true-hearted nature of he wants to try to figure these things out. And he's doing so this season in game one in a way that didn't feel like it directly harmed the team offensively, where he wasn't trying to shoot from a range that isn't really reasonable for his makeable range, and it didn't really slow the team down offensively. It didn't slow the flow down. Granted, I would appreciate if he stops trying those direct under basket fadeaways, because I don't really think he's going to be able to make those anytime soon. But Troy, what did you see that felt positive from from Sarr in that first game?
Well, the thing that I thought was the biggest positive takeaway was his shot selection. So, as Matt pointed out, that he had 0 3-point attempts, and he actually had a dunk. And so I feel like that was something last year. Like his dunk rate was like at a level that was like point guard level, like for a guy who's 7'1", and so. For him to start out the year with the dunk on the first game of the season, for him to not take threes, like for him to get 11 rebounds, it shows me that at least his mindset is, trying to play bigger than what he played last season. And so, like Matt pointed out, like he wasn't really bumping chest to chest with Giannis like Kyshawn was. And so, hopefully the physicality, hopefully that stuff will come as his body continues to grow and develop. But like I said, the biggest takeaway, the positive takeaway for me was the fact that, in his mind, he at least is going in thinking like, all right, let me try to have a shot chart that looks like an NBA big man.
Yep, exactly. Now, and that physical part, as you said, it's the final piece. If he can really assert himself inside, then more dunks will come. Then more challenging on defense will come. And as Isaac pointed out really astutely he is rehabbing an injury that is potentially could lead to a very much more serious injury. So you may want to lay back a little bit physically.
Yeah. Those calf injuries are really tough.
Yeah, that could be a nightmare scenario.
I mean,
especially
the thing is, like, especially with today's NBA, how you see so many of these calf injuries turn into Achilles tears. So, I'm glad that that they're keeping him on a minutes restriction, so that they're not overworking him. But he's young enough where he's got to get out there and play basketball too.
Yep, exactly. All right, now let's move on to an even younger player to this team, Trey Johnson. He had his debut, and we all, I think, were glowing after his summer league. And then we saw a little bit of a dip in the preseason. But man, oh man, was he smooth in this first game. That jump shot, absolutely beautiful. But let me ask you, Matt, what did you think of Trey Johnson's debut?
Everybody knows that feeling on a basketball court where a guy takes one shot and warm up and everyone just goes, oh, shooter, like immediately. Like that's how it feels with Trey, like, oh, okay, we've identified the guy we can't leave open for the rest of the night. And he's not shy about getting them up, which I think is actually healthy for this team because a few of these guys maybe are a little too deferential sometimes, but 4 of 8 from 3, which was cool to see. And the ones where he was set and clean and someone created, an easy look for him, I just think it's going to go in every time. So I'm loving that for a team that I just kept wondering about. Almost everyone in this front office drafted to like, it'd just be nice to know this guy is like an actual shooter and doesn't need to retool the jump shot from scratch. Like that's just like a nice feeling to have. And I think some of the playmaking that we're seeing here already is encouraging, and the rebounding for like kind of a slight, rookie guard is pretty good. Like even in the preseason, he had a couple big rebound games. So I think he's trying to impact the game in more ways than one. He's a rookie guard, so I'm not expecting much defensively. I thought he was kind of a rough watch on that end in the first game here, but just looked like kind of lost and not really sure where to go. And maybe some of that a scheme of letting him just kind of roam, but it's plenty of room to grow, but a good start for game one.
And Troy, what did you think about the way that he was able to set up his looks for his teammates to pass to him?
Yeah, what I was so appreciative of was the fact that it looked like Brian Keefe and the coaching staff made an assertive effort to try to get him the basketball. And so, like, I was just, like, I was kind of scared, like, off of how he looked in the preseason, that, that they would be coming out and he would kind of get lost in the depth chart a little bit and not get as many minutes as he probably should. But if he's going to play 26 minutes a night like he did in that opening night, and for them to come in and actually, kind of run pin downs and stuff and run different sets so that he can get, a lot of open shots on movement shooting, then I think that, this is something that I think will be, very fruitful for the Wizards for this season. And like I said, I'm very happy to see the coaching staff prioritize making sure that not only he had the opportunities to get out there on the floor, but they made sure that he got the shots that were good for him and how he plays as a player.
Now, Isaac, what could this mean for the offense to have a shooter who not only is able to actually convert the shots, but so clearly seems like he wants to put these shots up?
I mean, it's a confidence builder, and first and foremost, the front office is probably happy that they got someone like that that's actually confident to take that shot. And I've been saying this for the longest time I've said it on Clinton and Friends. I've said it to you guys. I've said it like all throughout the summer. He fits. And when you have someone that fits, that knows their role, that said, hey, I'm going to try to be the scorer or try to be the lead scorer off of this, whether it's off the bench or anything. Hey, you're there to get a bucket for us. So I wasn't worried in the preseason when he wasn't looking comfortable. I felt like it was like, okay, just more of a transitional from like, hey, from a 5-on-5 with no refs now going into the floor. So when you see that and you have someone that's finally starting to embrace that and figure it out, especially on night one, and we're going to try to see how he grows from it, it's only up from here. It's positive. It's a huge positive feeling for not only that player but also for the teammates around him, because now they're gonna be like, oh, he can do this. He's ready to go. So we're gonna try to help him grow, because if he eats, we all eat.
Absolutely. His confidence is certainly proving to be a lot of competence as well on the floor, which I think we can all greatly appreciate. But let's move on here to some of the other takeaways that we may all have from this past game. Matt, what are some things that you think just generally stood out beyond the players that we've already discussed?
Yeah, Cam Whitmore's fun. I think that's kind of where I'm at. I still don't really know what he is or how he fits long term, but I just kind of enjoyed it. Just a guy that's gonna put his head down, and he took a couple like bad shots, I would say, like one step back three that led to a run out because there was literally no one behind him to get the rebound. But just more good than bad. I thought he plays differently than the rest of this team does, and the guys that they have. So I think it's nice to have a few change of pace guys that are just going to be operate in different parts of the court and make teams guard you differently. So I liked what we saw from him. I would like to see just more Justin Champagnie minutes. I feel like he does good things, and good things happen for them when he's out on the court. So him only getting 5 minutes was kind of a bummer. So maybe he's a guy that kind of suffers the first half of the year until they make some trades or move on from some of these guys. Like if Middleton keeps looking like this, I think teams are going to call them about a guy like that. And I thought he was great. Obviously, kind of a revenge game opportunity for him. So maybe we don't get that every night, but I thought he did a lot of good stuff. Like Middleton Sarr pick and roll was not something I had on my Wizards bingo card, but I liked it. I want to see more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think one thing that to kind of build off that stood out to me beyond the Champagnie lack of minutes was just how the minutes were distributed in general, right? I kind of anticipated Whitmore coming off the bench, and as he said, it's really great to have someone who can change the speed like that and the pace and tempo of the game coming off the bench. I think they can be super helpful for the team. But for me, I was kind of anticipating that the minutes would be allocated in such a way that would be more even to just about everyone on the roster, especially
Yeah.
now with no Bilal playing.
Mhm.
So I wasn't really projecting anyone to have more than 26 minutes in this game.
Yeah.
And there were some players with top heavy minutes and some who really didn't play many minutes at all. And so I think that was a bit of a shock to see.
Yeah, if you're in a situation where like Tristan Vukcevic has a limited number of games he can actually play in
Mhm.
as a two-way contract player, wasting one of the game tallies for him on a minute and 42 seconds of garbage time, I thought was just kind of like silly game management personally, unless they have some big plan to convert him over at some point. You're just so limited in the front court that if Sarr misses time or Bagley misses time, which Bagley always misses time, I would just want to have as
Mhm.
many games of Vukcevic as possible. So the limitations aren't quite as strict now for the two-way guys, but still, you don't get him every single game. So I would be rationing his pitches a little more smartly if I were them.
Absolutely. And Troy, what stood out to you from this game beyond the players that we talked about on the front end?
Um, I thought that they competed, and I thought that they competed in a way that looked different from last year. Like last year, I feel like a lot of games where it was like, at halftime it's like, like what else is on TV? But I felt like with this, like they actually came out there and wanted to stay in that game. They had a lot of opportunities to kind of fold and throw in the towel, and they stayed the course and really tried to no, like really come out there and play a good game. I thought that Chris Middleton, in his return to Milwaukee, looked very strong and healthy. And if we could get 40 more games out of that from here, then I'm sure that some team's gonna get the calling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that third quarter was awesome. They were really pushing in the third, and I mean, defensively they weren't so great, but they were really awesome on offense. It was good to see like what the potential of these young players could be. Now, Isaac, I'll ask you the same question though. What was a standout for you in this game?
They had some grit to it. They fought a little bit. I mean, they were down 20 at one point, but they cut the game lead to 13. I can't. There's nothing I could really say negative about the game. Everyone, and I see all the casual basketball fans saying like, "Oh my gosh, they're really bad." Heck, even some of the hosts here, were even not on the show, but just local radios for like, "Oh well, the Wizards are just the Wizards." No, you got to see the positive. Is they cut a 13-point lead against. They cut the game to 13 points with possibly one of the best players in the world out there on the floor, playing 100%. Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's insane. With a team of literally right now non-established stars, with the exception of what Charles Barkley's saying that, C.J. McCollum and Chris Middleton, they did something wrong to them. No one likes them, so they're on D.C. No, take that in stride that, okay, last year they probably would have got beat by 40 like they did in opening night against the Celtics, and I was there for that. That was ugly. They got beat by 40. They kept it entertaining the entire game, even when the score does not reflect how hard the team was playing, and that's all you can take from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you both, Troy and you said, the game was fun to watch. It made it like you didn't feel like it was a snooze fest, and it kept you engaged. That's really all you can ask for. But now let's pivot this to a future part of the season. As everyone is familiar, the last few years, the NBA has run the NBA Cup. It's the NBA Emirates Cup. And just yesterday, they unveiled the courts for all the teams. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for everyone on the call. And I just want to get everyone's reactions to what this is. Let me first ask Matt, what do you think of this year's rendition of the NBA Cup court?
I think the hand in the ball from the logo is actually kind of sick. I really like that little detail. I hate the NBA Cup courts. I'm like old man shakes fist at cloud with that stuff. Like it's not great. It's a little too much for me, and I'm like easily distracted. So I don't know. I don't need it. But of the ones, like I kind of like this one, to be honest with you. Maybe that's a hot take, but it's less noisy just because it's at least mostly one solid color, across the court here with different shades of red.
And Troy?
Yeah, I love it. The red, it kind of pops, and so it's like a good background for some photos. I'm sure that it's going to. I'm sure the photographers are going to love it. I think that it's different from the courts they've had in the past. So, it's a nice blood red. Like it's like the red really pops like on the screen. Like I feel like it's a color that you get at the paint store at Michael's. Like.
And Isaac?
I'm actually not a fan of the color red for the court. I love the design, but I think the Wizards overuse red the last 15 years. I think it's time to retire the red part of that as their secondary color. I feel like they could have, if the court went like, let's say like the gray or like a different side color that the Wizards may have, or hell, even reverse it, have the blue with like the white stand out to actually see the hand rather than be hidden. Yeah, I like it. I like it a little more, but I'm not really a fan of the red for this court.
This one it's going to feel like nitpicking for me, but just looking at it, and this is like just graphic designers being the most annoying people on earth, but it bothers me that the curve of the ball doesn't line up with the curve of the three-point line. Like there's two different curve marks, and that is like infuriating me. I know it shouldn't be, but the fact that it's offset by what is probably like an inch and a half in like actual court it's going to piss me off. And for that reason alone, I am seeing nothing but red. So I'm anti this. I'm also much more aligned with Matt. I am very much like, why can't we just have the normal court? I don't understand why we're doing this. But I will admit this is not nearly as ugly as the past year. So I guess we'll take this as a somewhat of a win. Anyways, let's move on to another quick story beyond just the Wizards, as we said on the front of the show. This is a DC basketball show in general. And Troy said, we don't just cover the pros, we cover two pros. So let's meet at the midway point there in college. And Isaac, GW and Georgetown, they faced off only just last week. What do you have to tell us about that game?
Well, first of all, this game is actually this exhibition game because at the start of college basketball, usually teams are playing secret scrimmages or live charity exhibition games where their teams are playing against each other. Doesn't count against the schedule, and proceeds go to charities. This game was a little different. I got another basketball historian here with Matt, here. This was the first matchup that Georgetown has made it down from their high horse, from the hilltop, down to the Smith Center in Foggy Bottom and play GW for a basketball game. I know everyone, you're looking at me laughing, Wardell, but no, this is a huge thing because this is a rivalry that GW wants more than Georgetown, which I kind of agree. Why? Why? But in this matchup game, Georgetown won 73-64, which in years past, and Troy and Matt, you could correct me on this, usually in years past, this would be an automatic bye game for Georgetown. Georgetown actually played extremely well in this game, and so did GW, who's actually one of the oldest rosters in college basketball, returning about 5 more players in the portal in the entire Atlantic 10 Conference, and then Georgetown having an upstart year, being a possible sleeper team in the Big East. Actually, friend of the show, sort of in a way, or Jason friend, Caleb Williams, starting hot with 20 points, shooting 72% from shooting. This was a great game to watch, and I think it was great for the city just culturally that, hey, we could possibly have regional rivalries again. And, Matt, I might as well just kick it to you. I know we've had plenty of conversations, almost hours worth during games when we need to be reporting, talking about the importance of regional rivalries. How'd you feel about this game?
Just like I always look forward to seeing Troy at Wizards games, I always look forward to bumping in Isaac at one of the local mid-major games and having somebody to sit and chit-chat with the whole time. And that's definitely a big talking point for all these mid-major coaches. Like Chris Caputo is not afraid to just be outspoken about things like this. And I did an article and a couple podcasts last year for Mid-Major Madness on this exact topic of like the need for, the revitalized DC Classic here and bringing that back. And, the old BB&T days and things like that. Like that was, I think, pretty popular for fans until the end where it kind of got watered down a little bit. But if you're Georgetown, you're 1-1 against American in the last 3 years. Like that's scary for you to want to play one of the air quotes lower major teams locally. So to take on a team that is actually probably one of the better teams in the A10 in GW, like I actually have them at the top of my A10 power rankings. Like that's a good win for them, whether it's an exhibition or not. And maybe that makes Georgetown a little bit more confident about playing these games in the future. So shout out to Ed Cooley. I know it's just an exhibition, but it's a start. You got to start somewhere. And I think seeing the reaction to that game should help them get it more in the future. Maryland and Georgetown are going to play early in the season here. I think that's also great. They could actually expand that and bring in a couple of these other teams. It's not going to hurt any of their resumes all that much to play, GW or George Mason or one of these teams that have kind of got it going and are on the way up. So it's just a win-win for everybody locally and to kind of steal attention back, while it's still football season.
It's a fun time. I just got to say, it's so cool when these teams are starting to actually interact with each other like this again. Like, we all, as fans, are trash talking each other because we're fans of these schools anyway. So, like, why not actually have something that we can actually argue against each other with by actually putting on these games? Troy, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, and Matt, I'm glad you mentioned Coach Cooley. And as the non-college basketball expert guy here, and in this conversation, I want to say that all the Georgetown fans are, kind of putting him on the hourglass clock to kind of figure out, like, is this going to be the year that we make it to the tournament? Is this going to be the year that Georgetown basketball is back? So, the like kind of driving up interest in the program and really putting his team in a position to compete, is big. But, this is also, Washington, D.C., so the pressure is definitely starting to mount for him. And there are a lot of the alumni base is very curious to see how this season plays out.
And to add to that, all the pressure is adding up to Georgetown now and Maryland because GW has a stacked roster. George Mason literally made a historic run, tying their best record ever. American is finally coming in the fold. Howard repeated as MEAC champions for the first time in 30 years. Like in the last 5 years, all the mid-major schools and with NIL and the non-football powers, they're realizing like, oh, this is where our bread and butter could be. And especially being in a recruiting hotbed as this, yeah, if I'm a Georgetown fan, I'm like, hey, we want a piece of this pie too.
To Georgetown's credit, they're getting in with a lot of these top recruits too. It's only a matter of time before they kind of like actually pull one off. Like they've been Final Three for a couple 5-star guys, and it's coming. And I think if you can show that you're just not like a cellar dweller and you're 5th or 6th even in the Big East, it makes it a little easier for a 5-star guy to say, yeah, okay, I'm going to take a chance on Georgetown. So we'll see if they can kind of build on the momentum there.
And we'll have to keep track of this as we approach the start of the season. But it's time for us to go to break really quickly. The next time you hear us, we'll be talking about this week's scouting report. This is the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630 and the ESPN 630 app. Welcome back into the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630. Alongside Troy Halliburton and Isaac Gajikameris, I'm Wardell McCabe. We're joined by our very special guest this week, Matt Modderno. And it's now time to launch this week's scouting report, which is when we'll go through the Wizards roster to assess whether each player's stock is up, down, or has remained the same since the last time we discussed them on this very segment. The only catch is that I'll be giving our host points along the way for whoever it is that makes the best case each round. Now, our hosts have already given their thoughts on George, Bub, Sarr, and Trey during the last segment, so we'll be looking elsewhere on the roster today for the remaining players who filled up the majority of the minutes in Game 1. So, gentlemen, are we ready to kick off this week's scouting report?
Born ready.
Yep.
All right, let's first start with Isaac. Is your stock up or down for Chris Middleton?
I'll be honest, stock kind of stays the same. Chris Middleton is a vet to me. I wouldn't expect anything less of how he was playing. He had 23 points. The emotions were high in this last game. He's back in Milwaukee. He won a title there. He's going to be honored as one of the greatest Milwaukee Bucks players there. And it's a floor that he's comfortable with. So for me, I'm just Chris Middleton did what Chris Middleton should have done. So for me, my stock's not any higher or any lower. It's just all right, cool, awesome.
All right, Troy.
My stock is going to be up for Chris Middleton for the simple fact that he came out of training camp and he's healthy. He wasn't on the injury report at all. He came out. He looks like the guy that we've come to know and love over the past few years. And shout out to him for going back to Milwaukee. I know that he was probably emotional during that tribute video, and that's probably a precursor for them potentially probably retiring his jersey one day. And, like I said, the fact that he still got a little juice left in those ankles, and the fact that he's healthy, my stock has got to be up for him.
All right, and Matt?
Also up. I thought he was cooked last year, as did probably the Bucks, since they made that trade in the first place. He just looked slow and creaky to me, and this year he's looked spry and 5 years younger, so I'm all for it.
All right, well, after the first round, I'm going to give the first point to Troy, because not only did Chris have a lot of juice in him, so did Troy. You still got a lot left in the tank, so we're going to turn on over to round 2. Now, Matt, we'll ask you this. Is the stock up or down for CJ McCollum?
I'm going to go down, maybe a hot take, and it's not because of the shooting. I just don't want to watch him play defense all season. And are we sure after Zion's almost eaten himself out of the league that he's really that good of a vet? Just saying.
Whoa, okay, Troy.
Yo, Matt's tapped in. He must be talking to some people. But back to what I think about CJ McCollum, I'm going to say that his stock is the same. He didn't have a good shooting performance. He shot 0 for 6 from 3. In a normal circumstance, I feel like, if he hits 1 or 2 of those, his numbers would look, kind of closer to what they would normally look. And, I still would have my money on CJ McCollum leading the Wizards in scoring for this year. So, the first game wasn't what Wizards fans were expecting, unless you're Matt.
All right, Isaac.
Sounded personal there, Matt. But I'm gonna say my stock is down for CJ. I kind of wanted him to come out a little stronger on the shooting performance, because we all know that he could score. So I kind of felt like it was really, are you sure? What's going on here? And I'm kind of right about the defensive thing. I wish that that you're not a strong defender anymore, or there was of. I kind of wish that he kind of figured out okay, how can I draw someone to help defensively? I can try to get to some signals. So my stock is down. I'm he should have played a little smarter in that game, offensively and defensively, given the skill set, given the opportunity.
Yeah, well, Matt, I was not familiar with their game. I was not aware that was in the tank. So you're going to get the point for round 2. That puts it at 1-1 for Troy and Matt. Let's move on to round 3. Isaac, is the stock up or down for Corey Kispert?
For my man Corey, even though he's a Gonzaga guy. Stock's a little up. He had an efficient game for the 18 minutes coming off the bench. I think he kind of accepted the role on what was happening in that first game. Hopefully it may change. I have a weird feeling it's going to change in the second game to see, depending on matchup availability. What are you going to do with that? I mean, he went 3 for 7 from 3. He did his job for the most part. That's all you can ask. Can you do your job? And he's getting paid to do it exactly what he needed to do.
All right, Troy.
I'm going to go stock stays the same because, look, shout out to Isaac here because, he did his job. And I feel like that's like a very accurate assessment of how Corey Kispert played. He didn't do anything that was abnormal, either, positive or negative from what Wizards fans have come to expect. And, that's just kind of like a very, not a bland player, but just a atypical. And so, for me, I would want to see a little bit more from Corey just to show a little bit more growth in his game. So I would say that his stock is exactly where I expected it to be. And, his stock is the same.
Okay, Matt.
I would just say on aggregate over the last 3 years, my stock for him is the same. Has he added any wrinkle? Has he done anything or improved in any way, shape, or form? He's just kind of I'm not knocking him as a player. I just feel like it's very stagnant of just this is the player he is and probably will be, and there's value to that, but it's just it's kind of the same.
All right, well, I like the positivity that Isaac brought, so I'll bring a point to him, even us all out at 1 apiece. Let's move on to round 4. Matt, what did you think of Marvin Bagley's game?
Can I just say weird instead of an answer? Because I was surprised he didn't shoot at all. I guess maybe I'll go slight stock down just because of that. I think you want him out there getting buckets around the rim, and to take no shots in 15 minutes was just kind of surprising to me.
And Troy?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely say stock down for him to be out there. Our empty calorie bucket getters off the bench can't be coming in and not eating. They got you got to come in and go grab a burger, grab some fries, let's get to it. You can't just not do anything. So shout out to Marvin Bagley for at least trying to be physical with Miles Turner and Giannis. But if he's going to come in there, I need to see some of those jump hooks. I need to see some dunks around the basket. I need to see something.
Say, get your man's got to get himself a combo, man.
You got to get himself a combo, man.
Let's go to Isaac. What did you think of Bagley's game?
I'm going to be like Matt here, stock all the way down. I know a couple weeks ago we mentioned that, hey, having Marvin Bagley on this show, having Marvin Bagley is a great centerpiece. I was like, okay, sure. And I was right for this one moment here. You're literally 15 minutes of cardio. Come on, man. You are a vet. You have been in the league for a little bit now. You were playing as a freshman when I was an upperclassman in college. Dude, you've been in the league a little bit. Give me at least more rebounds. Give me something. So no, all the way down. All the way down. I'm extremely negative about that.
One. Brought the heat, so you're going to get the point there. You actually take the lead, Isaac. Let's close it out here with Cam Whitmore. Isaac, what did you think of Cam's game?
Cam showed that his growth. I mean, I'm happy for it. He took an opportunity, he ran with it. 14 points, 6 for 12 from the field. 3-point shooting was a little bad, but I feel like some of us hoop heads, and I think even Troy even mentioned it way back, okay, he's not a 3-point shooter, but I think that's not what he needs to do. He does need to improve on it. And I think defensive rebounds, 3 defensive rebounds, you can't get mad at his performance, but you want more out of it. So, yeah, his stock's up. His stock's up a little bit. I'm shocked.
All right, and Troy?
I'm going to say that his stock is up. He did what I had expected from him on the offensive end. And on the defensive end, he wasn't out there like a maven, but he was competent. He was where he was supposed to be, and he looked like he was actually giving forth some effort. So for me, that is way more impressive. For him to actually know his assignments and be where he's supposed to be, I'd say his stock is up.
And Matt?
Yeah, clean sweep also up. I'll take 14 and 5 on efficient shooting from him all season. And there are 6'5", 6'6" wings in the league that would say no thank you if they were matched up with Giannis, and he seemed to at least try to take the challenge. So I dig that.
All right. Well, the point on this round, I don't know if this has happened before, but Isaac, you got the point there, so you get the commanding win. 3-1-1. Congrats to our winner this week, Isaac. Did anyone at home agree or disagree with these results? Please let us know by just hitting us up on YouTube or by texting the show at 833-377-6630. Or you could also click message the show in the episode description of this very podcast, or even by messaging us on social media. Where, Isaac?
Oh, sorry. At Cap Hoop Caucus on X and also Capital Hoop Caucus on Instagram.
All right. We're going to take our next commercial break right here. When we get back, we'll launch the full court press to check on the opening weeks from everywhere else around the association. You're listening to the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630 and the ESPN 630 app. Good morning and welcome back into the Capital Hoop Caucus. Alongside Isaac Harris and Troy Halliburton, I am Wardell McCabe. Special thanks to our very special guest this week, Matt Modderno, who is still with us on ESPN 630 as we've been breezing through the recaps of the Wizards opening game. So we just wanted to do the same for some of the other teams around the league by launching this week's full court press. So let me open things up. Troy, to you first. What were some of the highlights of some of the other teams around the league that you saw in this opening week?
Man, the only thing I can think about is Wembanyama actually landing on Earth as an alien, and he put the NBA on notice that he really might be that guy already. I feel like his ceiling and where he's going to reach is probably being accelerated a little bit faster than I think a lot of people anticipated. And the way that he looked in that game versus the Dallas Mavericks, the way that he dominated on the offensive and defensive end, the way that, his shot selection, his just pure dominance, and just I've never seen anything like it before in my entire life. And if I was the rest of the NBA, I would be very afraid.
Dude, he was so much stronger than I thought he could have possibly been. It was terrifying to watch him just completely dismantle Anthony Davis, who is not a terrible defender, by the way. He was just all over the place, and he was relentless. This guy just has a motor and a drive of a player that, I don't think should be in the size that he is. You know what I mean? We don't see guys that long who are so willing to have that, killer instinct, and he clearly put that on display. Matt, was Wemby the thing that stood out to you the most in this first week?
Yeah, what's the Jordan quote about the ceiling is the roof for him? The ceiling is the stratosphere. It's just next level. I mean, yeah, he didn't look real out there, and I just don't know how you guard that. I don't know how you stop them from being a top 4 seed in the West because you have a guy that literally no one will be able to guard all year.
Yeah, he just feels like this person who we all knew it was looming. It's just, as Troy said, I don't think any one of us expected it to happen so suddenly. It just felt like, yep, he's here. It's this now, and we're just going to have to deal with this for as long as we can imagine. And the Spurs are the Spurs again. And this is just, we're all going to be, playing for second place and who has the next best player in the next years to come. Isaac, what do you think stood out to you the most in this opening week beyond just Wembanyama?
I want to say that, but that's kind of it was hard to kind of watch. That was disgusting. That was the Wemby. Yeah, I already said this once before. He's MVP. He's even the MVP this year. But Shea having 53 in a second double overtime game, I'm impressed. Even though I'm starting to believe the free throw merchant allegations. Just based off the play calling. I was not supportive. I'm like, no way. Then I watched the Indiana game. I'm like, yeah, there may be some merit there. But he still had 53 on double overtime. So shout out to the Thunder. They look good. So, yeah.
Yeah, how many of them were, how many of those 53 free throws? It was 26, I think.
It was 26, 23 for 26.
Yeah, a bit of a large number there. But, we keep it rolling. Matt, were there any other standout performances for opening week for you?
I think the Warriors are back. I don't know if that's a hot take or not because they played basically just Luka Doncic by himself, but it just seems like the pieces fit a little bit better. And Butler, if he can stay healthy, I think will be huge for them. But the 5 best players in the league right now, SGA, Luka, Giannis, Jokic, and Wembanyama. The L taker here this week is America. So we got some work to do on the basketball court.
Oh, we're screwed for the Olympics. Oh, we're done. That's done. After Wemby.
Glad they're not all on the same team, though. At least,
You got Alex Sarr. People nah, we're done. We're done.
It seems like we're going to be cooked for the All-Star game. Isn't it like a U.S. versus world kind of game going on?
Yeah.
It's not looking good.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
done.
definitely not.
Shengun had 39, 11, and 7. Like they're gonna be stacked.
Yeah, it could get out of hand. Troy, obviously very small sample size. What would you say is the boldest prediction you can make after these initial 1 to 2 games for most of the teams in the league?
My bold prediction will be for MVP. I know I said Wembanyama looks like an amazing, but I think like he's still maybe a year or two away. A guy who I think is ready this year could win MVP. My bold prediction is Anthony Edwards. You know, this is a guy like Ant-Man he's coming out. He looks like he's like Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon. Like he's got that glow. Like he's just like everything he's doing. Like he catches bullets with his teeth. Like he looks like the game is slowed down. He looks like he's figured it out. His 3-point shot is like he's shooting like Klay Thompson right now. Like this is a guy who I think has everything in the tool bag in order to be like one of the 2 or 3 best players in the NBA. And if he can stay healthy, I think that my bold prediction is that he might steal the MVP this year.
Hey, man, I can appreciate the nationalism. You heard us talking trash about the U.S. You're like, we do have an American guy who can compete for the MVP. I can appreciate that. Isaac, what would you say is your boldest prediction for the season after this first week?
Y'all gonna hate me for this. I think the Knicks have a shot.
Oh my God!
I truly believe the Knicks have a shot. I think I'm finally sold on Mike Brown. I think the fact that he's using his entire rotation, and as long as they stay healthy, I think they have a good enough shot to get through. And it showed. I mean, they played against the Cavs, which, to be honest, that was a game that I think most of America thought they weren't going to win. The Cavs look amazing. Like the Cavs look great on paper. But the Knicks gutted it out a win there. And I think if the Knicks can keep that momentum, they look good. Like that rotations, they're playing young guys. They're going through chemistry's looking good. Even with the brand new coach, they have a shot. I think they have a legitimate shot.
All right, now, Matt, do you have any knee-jerk bold predictions from this first week?
I'm going to take it back to Troy's for a minute here and hold it down with another American that I think can get into the MVP race. I don't think he can win it, but at least finish top couple in voting, which may surprise some people. I think Paolo Banchero is going to be in that mix. And I think Orlando makes an Eastern Conference Finals this year.
Ooh, that's
An
bold.
exciting
That's bold.
playoff run. So Magic Knicks, that could be an interesting one.
It's a lot of theme music.
Yeah,
That's a lot of theme music being played.
Yeah, just in time for the NBA on NBC, bringing it back to the 90s with Shaq and Pat. But I think my boldest one, and I don't really know how bold it is, but I think in game 1, he's definitely showed it, and he carried over the momentum that he built up in the postseason from last year. But I think Aaron Gordon probably has the best shot at becoming Jokic's first all-star teammate. I think that actually could be a tangible thing. He shot a miraculous 10 3-pointers in the opening game. Don't really know how that was possible. I mean, he was out shooting Cam Johnson and Jamal Murray. So this guy, look, we saw it, like I said, in the postseason last year. He stepped up in a role immensely to try to be the second best player on the Nuggets. And he was probably the best player on the Nuggets in game 1 because Jokic was chucking up some ugly ass shots. I mean, if we're being honest. So I think Gordon may have the ability to punch his ticket to the All-Star game. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. Obviously, I'm a Nuggets fan, so there's like some favoritism that's being shown there. But let's move on to something else, because we're going to be doing something very fun this year, a little bit different, as we are now starting up the NBA regular season. And that's that we are going to have somewhat of a weekly competition between our regular hosts, that being myself, Isaac, and Troy, during which we will be picking 3 games apiece. We'll be picking a winner straight up each week from now until January 1st. And what we will do is we will keep track of who gets the most wins, and more importantly, who gets the most losses during this opening stretch of the regular season. And when we get to January 1st, there will be a punishment enacted. And you may be asking yourself, what will that punishment be? It's not been exactly decided what specifically the punishment will be, but we do know the exact lane, because next week will be Halloween, our Halloween episode of the Capitol Caucus. And so we are challenging each of our hosts. And Matt, you can even join in on this if you want to. You don't have to take part in the punishment, but if you want to give us some submissions here, we're open to hearing it. What we will each have to do is present to you all, the audience, a costume that is NBA themed. For example, one of which could be the Orlando Magic's Desmond Bane, right? The Orlando Magic posted a photo of Desmond Bane in his jersey with a Bane mask. So that will be the punishment. We will each come up with a Halloween-themed NBA jersey. And then from there, the audience will vote on what the punishment should actually be, which is the best name combination. Another great one could be, if we want to throw back, Robin Lopez, a Robin Lopez jersey, while we have to dress up as Robin from Batman and Robin. Something that can be somewhat of a hybrid costume. And then that first week of the new year, the loser will have to wear that costume the entire show. They'll have to be in character too, if we want to take it even further. So that is the punishment at stakes. Each of us is going to have to, well, we have a lot on the line here, because me personally, well, actually, I probably do seem more like someone who would be fine dressing up as an idiot for a show, but I'm sure the others probably don't want to. So that is what's at stakes here. So we will give you updates in the coming weeks, how we are all progressing. Next week, as I said, we'll let you all know what each of us came up with as a costume theme. We'll have you all vote on it, and then from there, we'll give you an update on what each of our records are. But that's just to give you a look ahead in the weeks to come. We're going to take one final break here on this week's show. And on the other side, we'll have trivia time from the line. This is the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630 and the ESPN 630 app. Welcome back into the Capital Hoop Caucus. I'm Wardell McKay, joined by Troy Halliburton and Isaac Hodgkin-Harris. Thank you all so much for sticking around with us as we've recapped the Wizards season opener against the Bucks, and we even went through a bit of a deep dive of what we all saw on the court, and then gauged the stock of a few players in this week's scouting report. And we also discussed some of our general NBA opening week takeaways, and we did so with a very special guest, Matt Modderno, and he's still with us right now. And if you're listening at home and lamenting because you missed out on some of, or even most of the show, then don't stress, because your little heart can have its fill of the Capital Hoop Caucus by checking us out on your favorite podcasting platform. So you can always catch what you missed there, or also on YouTube. And while you're there, Troy, what should they be doing?
Yeah, they should subscribe, leave us a great rating. We need the people to go out there and tap into the culture with us.
Absolutely. And Isaac, I have a question for you too. Do you happen to know what time it is?
6:48. I'm kidding.
Oh,
No, it's trivia time. It's trivia time. I think it's trivia time.
Yeah,
Cold-blooded, man.
It is absolutely trivia time, which means I have to make way for our next hosts. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trivia Time from the Line. I'm your host, Guy. Now, you all know the name of the game, but let's get to the aim of the game, which is this: to score more points than your opponent. We'll have 5 minutes on the clock, during which each of our contestants will have to correctly guess as many players' names as possible in a surprise category of our choosing. And this week, you'll all be naming the Wizards' blocks leaders for each of their opening day games since 2010. When you make your guess, please provide the year, their block total, their position, along with their names. And, well, as you can see, there's a few years here which have a tie. And I'm not going to be asking you to name both the players. No, what I will instead be asking you to do is naming the player who tied for the most blocks but played the fewest minutes. All right. Now, let's name the Wizards' opening game blocks leaders since 2010. Troy, we'll start with you.
Oh, I'm gonna go. Let's see. Let's go 2018 4 blocks at guard. Let's go with my man John Wall.
It is John Wall. Isaac.
2025 2 blocks. Alex Sarr.
No.
Oh,
Matt.
wow. I'm just
Literally just happened. Matt.
2025 2 blocks. Kyshawn George.
Oh my God.
It is Kyshawn George.
Why am I overthinking this?
Troy.
Okay, let's go 2011 3 blocks center. Is that JaVale McGee?
It is Pierre JaVale McGee. Isaac.
Ooh. 2015 guard. I want to go with John Wall for that one.
It is John Wall again. Matt.
2010, one block. This is your captain speaking, Andre Blatch.
No. Troy.
Okay, let's go. Let's go 2017, 3 blocks, center. Let's go Marcin Gortat.
It is Todd Isaac.
Let me see this. 2020? Center Markieff Morris?
No.
Or one of the Morris twins? No.
At center, Matt.
Ooh, there's a lot of guards on here. I think I'm trying to think which ones have been crossed off already. Can you update me on what years are left?
That's a part of the game. You gotta be paying attention.
And Wardell's not here.
You gotta try to phone a friend on the line.
Guy.
As a hint, 2013's available.
Okay, let's go 2013. John Wall.
No. Troy.
All right, let's go 2021 center. Let's go Daniel Gafford.
Yes, it is. Isaac.
2023, 3 blocks forward. Rui Hachimura?
No. Matt.
Let's try that 2010 again. I think our one block is going to be JaVale McGee for that one.
No. Troy.
Oh man. 20. Oh, hold on. This can't be. Let me go to one I know. Let's see. Let's go 2020 center. Thomas Bryant.
No.
Oh.
Isaac.
2010, Brendan Haywood?
No. Matt.
Man, 2010. I'm determined to get this one. Let's go real throwback here. Hilton Armstrong.
It is Hilton.
Oh my
Armstrong.
God, that's crazy.
Troy.
The only other bigs on that whole team.
That's
so,
crazy.
sorry.
That's crazy. Let's go 2023. Let's go Kyle Kuzma.
No. Isaac.
Ooh. 2023. No, not Daniel Gafford, but Daniel Gafford. I'll take the guess. I'm already there. Already committed
Matt.
to it.
2023. Is that Kristaps Porzingis?
No. Troy.
Okay, let's go 2024. Let's go Jonas Valanciunas.
No.
Oh.
Isaac.
Ooh. Can we get 2012? Center's already been answered, yes?
No, it hasn't.
Ooh. I want to go with their Jan Mahimi.
No. Matt.
2012, JaVale McGee.
No. Troy.
All right, let's go 2012. Let's go Nene.
No.
Oh.
Isaac.
Ooh. I don't know if it wasn't that. I'm kind of stuck. Dang. I want to say again for 2021. Was that tied? Nope, never mind. I'm gonna have to pass this. I'm gonna pass this one.
All right, Matt.
I'm really determined to get this 2010 one. Trevor Booker?
No.
Oh, that was Hilton Armstrong. I got that one already.
You got that one. Yeah, look.
Troy.
Oh.
Last guess.
Okay, let's go 2012. Is that Kevin Seraphin?
No, it is not. Now let's recap those who weren't guessed. 2024 center Alex Sarr.
Oh man, I can't believe it. That was
2023 3 blocks forward Bilal Coulibaly.
Ooh.
2022 with 2 blocks at guard DeLon Wright.
Wow.
Nice.
2020 with 1 block at center Robin Lopez.
Oh. You dropped a little hint there.
2019 with 1 block point guard Chris Chiozza.
That's really tough, man. And the under 6 foot point guard with the only block that game.
2016 one block at power forward, Andrew Nicholson.
Oh my God.
Rough.
2014 with 2 blocks, Garrett Temple. 2013 with 1 block, Garrett Temple again.
Oh my.
Block machine.
And 2012 with 4 blocks at center, Emeka
Okafor.
Okafor.
Oh.
Forgot he was there that early, man.
Now it's time to tally these results to see who came out on top this week.
I want a point and a half just for knowing who Hilton Armstrong is.
Yeah, that's a good
Point there.
That's
So
a big
with
one.
The total score of 4 to 3.5 and to 1. Your winner this week, once again, Troy. That does it for us here at Trivia Time for the Line. We'll see you all next time. Bye. All right, guys. Who won this week?
I mean, look, I won again, but I don't feel proud about it.
I mean, Troy may have won on paper, but I think Matt won by knowing Hilton Armstrong.
Honestly,
like
that
low key, Matt kind of won. Like
We all lost by playing this game.
Like truthfully, Matt really won. Like, you know, it was like it felt like the Rocky movie. You know, Apollo won by decision, but we all know who actually won.
No, Apollo. Oh yeah, the first Rocky.
First Rocky. First Rocky.
Yeah.
First Rocky. Yeah. So like,
the winner of our hearts, I think.
yeah. Matt kind of won
For
the people
Hilton
there.
Armstrong. All right, so we're almost done with the show, but before we're going out, as always, we have to close things out with the last shot, which is when each of us has 24 seconds to speak on anything basketball related beyond the limits of the DMV. It could be a shout out, hot take, personal gripe, whatever it is. Now is the time right now to let it fly. The only rule is that when your microphone is, or when the 24 seconds is up, your microphone shuts off. I'm not on the board this week, though, so I guess Isaac can kind of play loosey-goosey on the rules here. He's kind of in control, and we'll see whether or not he holds us to that 24 seconds. I have a timer here, though, so I know when your 24 seconds is up. I'll know it in my heart. Troy, are you ready to take your last shot?
Yes, I am.
All right.
All right, for my last shot, I want to give a shout out to the Howard University men's basketball program, the Howard Bison. They're holding an open practice next week with the Capital City Go-Go on Halloween afternoon, and I think that's a very dope experience for the Howard players to get a chance to go up against these professionals who they're playing in the G League, and so I think it's dope for the community and it's dope for the
All right. Thank you, Isaac. We're figuring it out. All right. Isaac, are you ready to take your last shot?
Yes, I am.
All right.
First and foremost, shout out to the FBI for telling us that La Costa Nostra and the Mafia is alive and active by arresting Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier and Damon Jones. Wow, we have a lot to unpack here. That's for a special episode for Dateline or for Outside Lines. Bob Levy, where are you? Shout out to the FBI for that. Wow, amazing.
All right.
Yo, shout out to the FBI is wild.
You are lucky I'm not in the studio because it's going to be a cold day in hell.
No,
shout out
anyone. Shout out the FBI. What are you talking about?
I mean, like not like in a positive way, more like sarcastically. I'm like,
are you out of your mind?
like shout out, like appreciate it for letting us know that the Mafia still exists. Like, okay, like hey, it
What
wasn't
is happening?
I'm like, all right, shout out to the FBI for showing us that. Like, oh my God,
This is
this
crazy.
sports gambling.
Thank you, Officer Harris.
Oh, no, I'm not supporting the cops. Oh, absolutely not. Don't do that.
Wild.
I'm
dude.
just.
What is going on?
It was all
right,
facetiously. It was facetious. Let's calm down here. Let's calm down here. It was facetious. I'm not out here supporting the cops. Don't do
It's
that.
all in good fun. Matt, do you want to take a last shot?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it back to where Troy had it with shout out to Howard. They have a home game or a home exhibition game against American at Bird Gymnasium, and tickets are free to furloughed federal workers. So as a not furloughed federal worker, but an unpaid federal worker right now, I'm watching my wallet. So shout out to them.
Did that in I had plenty of time, but I'm gonna go ahead and take my last shot as well, if I can go ahead. And I think Isaac would justify it if he muted me at any point, but I'm asking him not to. I'm asking him to respect the rules of it, but we'll see if that holds true. My shout out actually goes to Brian Windhurst this week because this past week, I was just scrolling on X and I saw a national news report of a plane that had to get grounded. And there was this reporter who was like, yeah, she was just trying to contact anyone who was aboard the plane. And it just cuts to Brian Windhurst of ESPN. It was just like him talking about the process of how the plane was grounded. I'm glad everyone was safe. Is this
Yeah, he said you got to follow the rules, man. Look, shout out to Wendy though. I was listening to the Hoop Collective podcast where he was talking about that, and I was like, yeah, I was like, yeah, how is this story about to end? I was like very curious. So
I think the bigger story is Wendy lives in Omaha, Nebraska.
That's
so random.
Yeah, that is true. It was really unexpected, dude. It was just so strange. It was like someone posted, "You have to watch the end of this because you cannot anticipate who's going to be at the end of it." And the person who was a reporter didn't tee up the fact that it was Brian Windhurst at all. It was just cut to person on the plane. I was like, that's Brian Windhurst. That's so weird. But as I said, I'm glad everyone's safe. But anyways, we're now at the closing stretch of today's show. I just want to thank our very special guest, Matt Modderno, for joining us today. Matt, for our listeners, where can they get more of your work?
I don't know. The internet's, there's a bunch of stuff. You mentioned them up front. I appreciate you guys for having me. I want to shout out you guys, though, because as good as this is as a basketball area, there's not enough coverage of all aspects of it. And I know the local college coaches really appreciate it, too. So thanks for what you guys are doing. And, yeah, come find me on Twitter if you want.
All right. And Troy?
Yeah, shout out to Matt for joining us. And for the people that, if they want to find me, you can always find me on the platform formerly known as Twitter, now X, at Troy Halliburton. And also shout out, I did a little bit rebranding of my Substack this week. It is now the Capitol Hoop Caucus Substack. So, yeah, we're kind of unifying our branding together. And I actually got that advice from a guy who read my work this week and shouted me out. Shout out to Shea Serrano, who gave me some good advice this week.
Hey, props for that too, man. That's a cool plug.
Yeah, I appreciate
well deserved. Well deserved.
In the marketing space, we call that synergy. A lot of branding synergy going on right now. But Isaac, where can our listeners follow you?
You can always find me on Instagram at Isaac_Harris224, and then Ike Iriite on X, formerly Twitter.
All right, and where can they follow the show?
You can always follow the show on X at Cap Hoop Caucus, and also Instagram at the Capitol Hoop Caucus, and also please subscribe and follow and do everything and share us.
Absolutely. And thank you, three, for joining me for today's show. And thank you all at home for listening. As I said earlier, if you missed any part of the show, you can always catch it on the podcast feed, wherever it is that you get podcasts. Just go ahead and type in Capitol Hoop Caucus in the search bar. I promise you, we'll be right there. You can also do the same on YouTube, and I promise you, we'll be there too. And if you could, just give us a subscribe, comment, review. It means the world to us. It helps to spread the word to other basketball fans in the area to help grow the show a little bit more and help us to continue doing the cool stuff and fun stuff that we are doing. And hey, if you're listening on ESPN 630, stick around because there's actually quite a bit going on today, because right after the break, you're going to hear College Football Tailgate with Amber Wilson and Jonathan Zaslow. They're going to be broadcasting live from Baton Rouge as they are previewing LSU and Texas A&M's game today. From there, we'll then join the pregame show of the Virginia Sports Radio Network ahead of UVA's game against UNC. Kickoff for that won't be scheduled for high noon. Then later today, we'll have ESPN Radio College Football's coverage of the aforementioned Texas A&M versus LSU. That game beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern with Mark Kessisher, Kelly Stauffer, and Ian Fitzsimmons on the call. Then we'll close out our night by joining Game 2 of the World Series in progress with Boog Shambi, Eduardo Perez, Jessica Mendoza, and Buster Only. And all those broadcasts will be airing live on ESPN630DC.com, the ESPN 630 app, or 630 on your local AM dial. Signing off for Isaac Ajikamaris, Troy Halliburton, and myself, Wardell McCabe, along with our very special guest, Matt Modderno. This has been the Capitol Hoop Caucus, reminding you that these sports leagues are, unfortunately, reaping what they sow for taking the gambling money that they did a few seasons ago. We kind of one another. We'll join you and talk to you all at the same time next week.
That was good.
Okay.
Matt, thank you so much, man, for joining us for the entirety